today in my high school dress code. I'm wearing my TEDxStJohnsPrep polo, khaki pants, a belt, and leather shoes. But every day, before leaving the house, I also put on one more thing. It's not typical attire for a student at my Catholic high school, but I always come to school wearing a yarmulke, a traditional Jewish head covering. I started wearing this yarmulke just 2 years ago. It's not something that I grew up wearing, or something that my dad or brother wear, and in fact, when I started wearing it, my parents and grandparents pleaded with me to change my mind. They feared for my safety, worrying that I would be singled out, or perhaps even ostracized, particularly at a school where Judaism is far from the norm. But I felt compelled to start wearing it after hearing the shattering news that a gunman had murdered 11 Jewish worshippers in the Tree of Life Synagogue in Squirrel Hill, Pennsylvania. People who had gone to a house of worship to pray were murdered in cold blood, simply because they were Jewish. It shocked me to hear about this, the deadliest anti-Semitic attack on American soil, but instead of responding to the terror by hiding my identity, I felt the need to visibly express my faith. Until that tragedy, I had assumed anti-Semitism was a distant memory. I had heard older relatives share their stories about facing prejudice long ago. In the 1950s, my grandfather's classmates even tried to drown him in his high school swimming pool, simply because he was Jewish. My parents and grandparents responded by downplaying their religion and trying to blend in. But the attack in Squirrel Hill showed me that that approach wasn't working. According to the FBI's annual hate crime report, anti-Semitism still accounts for nearly 60% of religiously based hate crimes in America, and Jews make up less than 2% of the population. After the attack, Instagram was full of my Jewish friends condemning the atrocity, but I knew that like other US shootings, it would soon be forgotten. At the root of any hate is ignorance and the dehumanization of others. I felt the need to actively engage with those harboring hate. And by wearing a yarmulke, I wanted to show people I was Jewish, to spark conversations, even if they might be difficult. Those conversations came quickly. For some of my classmates, I was the first Jewish person they knew. One friend asked if Passover, which commemorates the Jews' liberation from Egyptian slavery, celebrated genocide. I explained that this story was primarily symbolic, with the 10 plagues representing the importance of freedom and the wickedness of slavery. This question, although asked innocently, reminded me of blood libel and the false belief that Jews made matzah or unleavened bread with the blood of Christian babies. Left unanswered, these questions could fester into something similarly malignant and untrue. And since I started wearing a yarmulke, classmates I barely know have asked me about topics ranging from Israeli policy to Judaism's opinions on the LGBTQ community. Just because I'm Jewish doesn't mean I have all the answers, so I started doing research to offer informed opinions. Not all my experiences have been positive. Strangers have mocked me. A teenager shouted slurs during my school's state championship football game. Drawing that bigotry has been particularly unsettling because Judaism is usually a hidden difference. Without my yarmulke, I wouldn't have known that that person was anti-Semitic or been subjected to his hate. By choosing to display my differences, I invite antagonism as well as conversation. But I believe that those ugly moments are worth it in order to draw out authentic, meaningful interactions. The more we know and understand about our differences, the more we can find our similarities as well. This promotes our ability to develop true kinship by claiming, sharing, and embracing our differences. In those differences, we also find our similarities and can explore our shared humanity. I've seen this kinship with others in my daily life. While on a walk with my brother, we ran into a man who saw my yarmulke and called out Shabbat Shalom, which is a traditional Jewish greeting on Friday nights or Saturdays during the Jewish Day of Rest. I was asked to join my school's multicultural student advisory committee, representing a Jewish voice on campus. As I started talking to diverse groups of classmates about their experiences, my eyes opened to the struggles that others face, especially those who can't just cover their differences with a baseball cap. Working to make my school more inclusive has made me feel part of something bigger than myself. We plan programs to celebrate our diverse student body, like Hispanic heritage movie screenings and diversity-themed trivia nights, and talk about some of the challenges of being a minority on campus. This makes me feel a kinship with my peers and a passion to combat discrimination of all kinds, not just in the ways that affect me directly. At my all-boys school, that includes me joining the Student Gender Task Force. We teach underclassmen the dangers of toxic masculinity and how to identify sexism. This semester, I'm taking the fight against prejudice one step further by joining a new program focused on anti-racism. White identifying students learn about topics like microaggressions and intersectionality. After completing the program, we'll educate our classmates about how to be an anti-racist. I'm excited by this effort to create a more just environment for my peers and promote kinship on campus. And although I don't know that we can ever truly understand the challenges someone else faces, we need to listen to their experiences. And instead of trying to ignore our differences, we must find ways to acknowledge them and actively support each other. When I started to wear a yarmulke, I faced new challenges. But along with the risks of standing out, there have been rewards. As a Jewish student who won my school's award for exemplifying its Catholic Zavarian values, I have shown students from diverse backgrounds that they don't have to conform or hide who they are, but that they should embrace and share what makes them unique. Before, being Jewish was a part of my identity in the same way that I have brown hair or blue eyes. I was simply born with it. But by putting on a yarmulke and placing myself in uncomfortable situations, I didn't just show who I am according to the faith of my ancestors. I discovered how I want to interact with the world, inviting hard conversations and daring to openly wear my beliefs. Thank you.